You're listening to the Jules and Coffee Hour, sharing the stories of Blizzard gamers around the world. Pull up a chair. We're glad you're here. Welcome to episode 18 of the Jules and Coffee Hour. I'm Jules.
And I'm Coffee, and is it just me, or is it getting a little warm in here? Because we're going to be talking about Burnout.
It's getting smoky, it's getting warm, it's getting burning. That doesn't sound healthy, but...
It's hot. It's hot fire.
You know, I don't think of Burnout as something hot and sexy to talk about, but I see, I'm going where you're going and I'm following your lead, because that's what we do in this profession of podcasting, is we say yes and, just like improv.
Well, burning, it is hot in a certain way. It's just not a sexy hot. It's just...
Yeah. It's a hot topic.
It's a dangerous hot.
Yeah, we're talking about Burnout this week, but first, let's just say this. You guys, we loved the last episode, which was Ask Jules and Coffee, and we only did that one like five days ago, I think. Is it even like 4 days ago? It was really recently. So if you haven't caught up to it, no big deal. But please go check it out. I think it went out on Sunday on the official channels if you didn't catch it live. It was a really, really, really fun episode. Coffee said it was his favorite of all time. I agree with him.
Is it on the YouTube as well? No?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I have to go check YouTube and check the comments because I need to be better at that.
I'm starting to get better at that. I try to do that.
Same. Dad Horse made sure to tell me that this needed to be something I needed to do more better. I was like, yep, you're right. You're exactly right. I need to be better at this because I've been notoriously terrible about balancing that. And I think a lot of it is just literally the amount of energy and time that I have to give to everything, and I want to give it to it all, and sometimes I can't. And golly gee willikers, it is so much like Burnout topic related things that just like that's the thing. Like that's the like sometimes you hit your limit and then there's just like what do you do? Well, how did we get there? So
right.
Yeah.
You got like a full plate of stuff going on, and you know, on that list is let me go reply to YouTube comments and engage that audience, but you're just like so overwhelmed with all these other moving pieces that are going on in your life that you never really know the one thing that's gonna like break you and snap
you,
you know?
Yeah. No,
sometimes it can just be that small little thing that's like, God, I don't know if I can go on today. I'm just so tired. I just can't even function.
Yeah. So we're getting started with the topic. So that means we've got to just play this little thing that says we're in the topic right now. So we'll play right now. It's time for the topic of the week. In this episode, we are talking about burnout, when we've experienced it, what it looks like, what we've done to deal with it, and how you can hopefully see it within yourself to avoid letting it get too bad. Because let me tell you something, Coffee. I know burnout. It is not a friend of mine, but it is a visitor that has come around my door more times than I wish that I wish that I had to admit.
Don't invite him in. Don't let him in.
No, it sucks. It sucks. And you know, I can think of several examples of times when I've gotten to that point, and you know, but so first I think I'd like to talk about it from our perspectives, but I think that there's a bigger topic at hand that I also want to discuss, and that is mainly our culture in general, especially in this generation. Because I don't think it's just an isolated problem. I think it is something that we are perpetuating as a society, and it worries the hell out of me. So we'll get to that later. But let's talk about personal experiences with burnout. Tell me about some times or a time when you know you've been like, this is it. I burnt it.
Just like the most recent time I can think of was like right before BlizzCon for me, just because it was just like such a crazy hectic period in my life, and I recognize that I put so much on myself, and I voluntarily put so much on myself, but it really started to get bad. I mean, I mean, I'm obsessed with my stream. I know no limits when it comes to my stream, and I was doing a
Hmm.
ton of work on my stream, on top of all the other parts of my life, full-time job, being a good husband, being a good son, um, got my acting, uh, some like side software development jobs, and then I had this incredibly generous, amazing community that I wanted to give
Yeah.
110% to as well. And I noticed right before BlizzCon, because I had the numbers to apply for Twitch partnership.
Hmm.
So I put all this pressure on myself to like get that partnership. So once you have the numbers, you apply, and then after you apply, they like monitor the channel. Um, it's not just your numbers. They like come in and like look at your channel and stuff like that. And I knew that there were Twitch staff like in my channel like randomly, and it took them 3 months. So throughout 3 months, I was just like treating my stream differently and just pushing it like to the next level, thinking that, if I just put in a little extra effort every day, I'll get a reply back, or I'll get a response
Yeah.
back, or something like that. It went all the way up until BlizzCon, and then right before BlizzCon, I did a rebrand of the channel from Darth Coffee to Coffee Club TV, and I just stayed up for like 72 hours straight doing that, and I was just totally at my wits end by the end of it. Like I had nothing left to give, and it's such a rough time in my all my relationships suffered, really. My
Yeah.
relationship with Emma, friends, just because I was so burnt out. I was
Hmm.
so burnt out. I couldn't function, and I ended up cutting back streams to like 2 days a week or something like that. Um, as we went into like convention season, because like there was TwitchCon happened, and then BlizzCon happened, and then the holidays happened, and I was streaming like very rarely just because I needed to recover from all of that pressure I was putting on myself. And I don't think I handled it like super healthy either. I
Yeah.
mean, I gained weight. I think I gained a lot of weight during that period of time. I mean, it's just, I don't know. All I did
Yeah.
was my best. Um, I tried to talk about it with Emma and anyone who would listen, and just kept trying to do some self care, things like that. But I mean, ultimately made it through. But it's not a time period I look back in my life and I think to myself, Jesus, this is like, I don't think fondly of that period in my life, which is sad
Yeah.
because I got to like meet and hang out with a lot of people during that time. I just feel like I wasn't my best self during that period because I was so burnt out.
Yeah. And it manifests in ways that you don't necessarily like see. There's not a switch that flips and you say, "Oh, suddenly I realize that I am currently burnt out." Like it pops up in weird ways. You're and like I see it in friends. Like I know what to look for because I've seen it in friends before. And typically what happens with that is I see them pushing themselves to the limit, and then when they've kind of hit whatever limit they have, suddenly they just can't engage anymore. Like they just can't. And I've had this happen to me as well. In previous BlizzCons, I was planning and managing an entire event, a community party at BlizzCon, which was a monumental effort
Yeah.
of work. And it was managing a large volunteer team and all of the on-site stuff, plus trying to work a full-time job. And it was so much stress and anxiety, and like I would I know I wouldn't be myself. I'd be irritable. I would be exhausted. I'd be just like everything I had to do felt like a tremendous effort and energy that I had to spend. Like I would literally have to just say, you just have to make it through the next 8 hours. Have to you just have to make it through the next 2 hours, the next 3 days, whatever it was, but I would have to like pep talk myself out of it just to know that the end was in sight. And nobody wants to live like that. Like when you're talking about your streaming stuff, it was like I it's this is supposed to be fun.
Right.
And when it becomes the chore, or I just don't have the energy to do it, or I just, you know, that has to be something that we try to give ourselves a red flag, but we don't, because we feel like we're letting people down. We're not, you should be stronger than this. You
Right.
should be more, suck it up, buttercup, and all that bullshit. And stuff that I say to myself in my own head. And but like when, I knew some of what was going on with you, but you didn't talk about a whole lot of it.
No.
And 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 I'm not blaming you for that. Not That's not an accusatory thing. It was just like and I understand completely why you wouldn't talk about it. But like how how dangerous does it get when you're just like I don't know what to do anymore, and I don't know where to function, and I don't know what's next.
Yeah, I mean, part of, I think, the way that I deal with all the moving parts of my life, and I'm starting to get better about this because my word for the year is balance.
Mhm.
Is that I think I was definitely doing this. I was strictly compartmentalizing things. Like my
Yeah.
streaming world didn't, have anything to do with my acting world, or that world didn't have to do with my day job, and then I kind of kept that all apart, all away from Emma. And that's just our time together. I didn't want to be like working on stream stuff when I was with Emma. And when I realized that those things kind of have to bleed together, and that helps actually with the burnout, that was
Mhm.
kind of a big breakthrough for me. And the other thing at the time that I don't think not many people know about was that Emma, uh, her father was actually going through another like cancer scare at the
Oh
time. He's
jeez.
been battling cancer for 20 some years. He's and it he goes into remission and it comes back, and right around the same time he was having a battle with cancer, and she actually flew home and I stayed here. I was by myself, and that's why I was trying to stream a lot to deal with that sort of stress and like
Yeah.
distract myself, and it ended up having kind of like the opposite effect. I felt like I didn't have enough time to just concentrate on me and my
Yeah.
sanity some days. But yeah, and then just recently my own mother had a health issue. She ended up in the hospital uh with like severe stomach pains, and
Oh no.
yeah, and then, like I was dealing with that, and I just don't want to like, I don't want all these parts of my life to bleed into one uh kind of issue or problem, because then I'll have no escape, or
Yeah.
that was my mindset. But as soon as I started talking about things like this, I realized that you really kind of have to give yourself that freedom to chat
Yeah.
about things like that, or you'll drive yourself insane. You'll pull
Is
your
your
hair
mom
out.
doing okay?
She's doing better now. Yeah, she's out of the hospital. She's still not back at work. There were part of the surgery. She had like an open wound when they closed her up, and she was
Mhm.
having these at-home visits. This nurse was like packing the wound every day,
Mhm.
and she had
Mhm.
this like vacuum kind of attached to her to like suck out stuff like that, and that she's been doing that for the past month, and she just got the
Yikes.
vacuum out last week, so she's definitely like on the mend.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Because man, that's not fun, and that's
That I
just
wasn't sure if
scary.
I needed to fly home. Like I have such a hard time like traveling, because I feel like if I travel, then I can't jump at an opportunity that may arise here in LA, whether
Yeah.
it be through streaming or acting or my job or whatever. So I have
Right.
such a hard time like committing to doing any type of travel. So I wasn't sure, like it's like, should I fly home to be with my mom, or should I carry on? And I still I never know how to deal with that sort of stuff. I never know how to
Yeah.
take time to do that.
Yeah, and it's, that it's the kinds of things that you can't plan for, right? So like you're living your standard schedule life, and then you have something that comes in, like a parental health scare on both sides of yours
Yeah.
and Emma's family, and there's just no, like, it's life, it's things, it's, and the if you don't have the ability to kind of like take a break from stuff, or or you feel like you just
Yeah.
can't take a break from this, it's too important, that's where it becomes a real struggle. And
Yeah. And
I
that's something I've
know.
realized is that I don't like kind of just like limbo time. Like I
Yeah.
like to schedule out my days so that I'm busy most of the day doing something. But
Hmm.
when something um, unforeseeable happens, it starts to get really complicated because you can't um, use that kind of free time to do something important like an emergency. You can't,
Yeah.
because you've already filled yourself to the brim of responsibilities and you've made commitments all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, so
I think about it from a perspective of like, we have this culture, especially for people who work full time and have a family, like, have children that they're raising, they're married, they have children, and they have all the other things going on. And I see this a lot, and it really bothers me, is that, we try to have it all. We try to have everything. And, you had this life before you had children, where it involved, for us, it'd be video games and conferences and conventions and, fun stuff. And then you have children, and, your entire life changes, and your children need a lot of your time and attention for a good portion of the next 18 years of, though it shifts. And I see this so many times where I'm like, I don't know we how do I say this? I don't know if people really understand the impact that these things have on, like, what it is that you try to balance with your life. Like, we make decisions, we make choices on what we want to do. And I see some parents where I'm just like, you are so extended to the lengths of your ability to balance everything, because you want to have everything,
yeah,
and then you burn out, but there's really nowhere else to go. Like, you can't just stop taking care of your kids. Like, and so I don't know. I guess my point being is that we're not good at giving ourselves a break in the process. So we push ourselves to the very limit of what we can handle, and then it breaks. And
hmm
now what are you gonna do?
yeah. And I agree with you. I think our society really places a lot of value in those people that are like Renaissance people that are like
Yeah.
doing it all. Like
Mm-hmm.
this person is, um, full time parent, but they're also, starting a successful business and they're also in a band and they're also this, right? And they're like doing all these things. And it's like, oh man, that person's so cool because they're doing all these things. And I try to embody that. I try to be that type of person. And um, now I think to myself, holy shit, how does that person keep their shit together? Like, how
Yeah.
do they, how do they not lose their mind on a daily basis with all these moving pieces?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and it's very much the examples that we have in front of us right now, especially in our culture of video gaming and Twitch. Um, Honestly, it worries the hell out of me. I'm glad to see the Twitch culture model start to shift a little bit, where it was like the standard was you must stream 6 to 8 hours, 5 to 6 days a week in order to make it as a full time streamer. And now that's started to back off a bit because the competition is so fierce. There's so many people out there, that trying to stream for, 8 hours a day, you know,
Oh yeah.
sometimes they're doing the 24-hour streams. Like, I you know, it's the tried and true example, but it's like I watch what happens with Ninja a lot of times, and Ninja is the prime example I use of like you can't do that because you are going to burn yourself out, man. Where he streams in the morning for what is it, 5-6 hours, takes a break, and then comes back and streams another 5 to 6 hours at night, and is constantly apologizing to his fans like, I'm sorry I'm missing this stream because I have this going on. I'm sorry I'm missing the stream because of this going on. And it's like, man, if you only had the opportunity to just say, I'm going to stream from this block to this block because it's what I can handle because I have all of these other obligations that I want to take care of or I have to take care
Yeah.
of. And you don't have to feel like you're constantly apologizing, getting sick all the time, and then apologizing that you're sick and not streaming. You
Yeah.
know, I sit there and I just shake my head because I'm like Shroud broke his fucking arm and he was streaming after surgery 2 days later.
Shit, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, he
insane.
did because you know he flipped over the handlebars of his scooter, wiped out on the pavement, broke his elbow, gave himself a ton of road rash, had a surgery, came home. It wasn't his aiming arm that he broke, but he came in and he was streaming like 3 days later, and then
So I don't
like
I
he has
don't mean to
another.
make fun of this. I don't mean to make light of this, but for some reason Shroud riding a scooter just made me giggle like just a little bit. I don't know.
I know,
Just the image of Shroud
I know.
because he's already such a little dude. Right?
Yeah,
I feel like you might see like some kid like I feel like I might see Shroud outside of a middle school like on a scooter
right.
and just like okay, but I feel bad for him. That's terrible.
But you know the thing that happened is that he had just broken the milestone of 100,000 subscribers on his channel. Like
Wow.
the day after or 2 days after, something like that, is when he wiped out and had to go have surgery.
Oh my
He's having
god.
another surgery on Friday, and
Wow.
people are like, "Dude, when are you gonna stream again?" And it's like, I like the the guy is a freaking millionaire, and he does not
Yeah.
need to
He
stream
streams
every
for
day.
them. He streams for his community, for his people.
Yeah. Yeah. But he doesn't need to, but the pressure is there
Yeah.
to make sure you come back and come back as fast as you can because man, you know, you're a god, man. You're amazing, man. Like
Right.
give yourself some time to recover and we don't allow our role models, our celebrity people that we admire to have that downtime.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, there's another like element to streaming that I don't think a lot of people talk about, or a lot of streamers don't. I wonder how people like Shroud deal with this, but like viewers um unload some of their baggage and weight on streamers a lot. It happens a
Yes.
lot.
Yes.
And to some respect, even if the streamer is not trying to take on that baggage or weight, they do anyway if they're compassionate. Like even if
Mhm.
they are saying, even if they're drawing a line and a boundary, it's still somehow it happens. And I just remember that happening last year around the BlizzCon TwitchCon period, where I had some viewers that were going through some tough times as well. To say, like aside from my personal kind of issues I was going through, I had some viewers that were going through some very stressful, life-changing, sad times,
Yeah.
and I was just trying to be a good listener and trying to be empathetic, and without knowing it, I somehow just took on some of that energy as well, and that
Yeah.
changed how I was feeling a lot. So I wonder how people like Shroud and how they do that sort of thing, because like I think that's part of it. That's all tied into it. With
Yeah.
getting burnt out is feeling that way.
Let me tell you a little story about something like that because that happened to me. And it was early on in my podcasting career. And at that time, I was doing Torrent Think Tank, which was very much a show meant to help the community and support the community and that kind of thing. And there was a listener who I had known and he was very attached to me, very much, felt like I was this source of compassion and someone to listen to. And he there was an evening where he called me on Skype and kept messaging me like, I need you, please answer, please answer. And I answered, and he was ragingly drunk, like he had drank an entire bottle of vodka and it was threatening to kill himself. And I spent I spent 4 hours, me not trained in suicide, you know, crisis management, not understanding what the best thing for me to do. I don't, this person is basically putting their life in my hands and telling me that I'm the only person keeping them from killing themselves at that particular moment. And I was able to talk him down, and I was able to ask him to please call a suicide hotline that night. And he did, and he got himself into treatment. And at that point in my podcasting career slash, content creation career, I had to promise myself that there needed to be a distance, that I could never go back there again.
Oh yeah.
Because that was a trauma for me. It was a deep, scary, if this person had come, like, I didn't ask for that burden. I didn't ask for the responsibility of someone telling me that if I didn't talk to them, they would kill themselves. And it's something that I haven't talked about a lot. I mean, early on people kind of knew about it, but it was one of those things where I just like, I cannot, in order for my own safety, I cannot put myself in a position where that could happen again. And I guess, the reason that I tell this story is because, it's affected me for life. Like,
Right.
It's affected my connections with other people because, you think that you're just coming out to, make a difference in this world and be out there and be positive and be someone who people can look up to and, inspire other people. But a line got crossed that night, and I knew that I can't ever go back to being there for everybody.
Yeah. But I mean, the same exact thing happened to me. I shit you not.
God.
Same exact thing happened to
sorry.
me last year, right before TwitchCon. Same exact thing happened to
Coffee.
me. It was it was a female viewer, and I did not know how to handle it. I'm not trained in that sort of thing whatsoever. And I asked Emma to help because she is a certified counselor, or she was. And so Emma actually spoke with the young woman, and it was just like, again, it's like this streaming world kind of leaking into my personal life, and it was just like, I don't know how to set these boundaries to prevent that stuff from happening again. Because at the end of the day, if someone even just messages me on Twitch or in Discord that they're having those kinds of thoughts or suicidal feelings, I feel like I have to do something. I can't block that out. Whether the person has my personal cell phone number or not, I can't just say, oh, they don't mean it. I can't just ignore the Discord message or the Twitch message, and I don't know how really to continue like in that fashion.
Yeah. And honestly, the best advice that I can give you in that, and the thing that I had to learn, is that the skill of saying, I want to help you, but I am not the right person to help you. I am not, I want you to be okay, but I need you to go get some professional help right now. I am not the person who is going to be equipped to handle this, and I want you to be with someone who can. And because this is, I know this is getting very heavy, but the thing about severe depression is that, they're not thinking about the impact that this is having on you. This is not, it's not it's not your responsibility to save someone's life, Coffee. It's not, And I had to and I went through counseling after this scenario. And I mean, this was several years ago, and I had to have someone say that to me. It is not your responsibility to save someone else's life. Their life is their responsibility. And I want to say I had this conversation about guilt on a podcast on Torn Think Tank with a professional psychologist, and she said that to us on the show. And I was just like, she literally was just like blanked it out and just was like, I know it sounds shitty, but you have to draw that boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I knew about, like for burnout and things like that happened to me is because I'm trying to take on so much of the world and so much of the responsibilities that I literally cannot hold myself up anymore. And I had to start thinking about it from a perspective of like, hey, you matter too, honey.
Right.
Like you matter in this equation too, because I know this about you, Coffee, is that you are a kind and compassionate person, and you want to give as much of yourself as you can to the community who loves you so much. And the reality of it is that you literally cannot. There are too many of them. There are too many people who, it is functionally impossible for you to be that person. And I've seen Ninja have people say stuff like that in chat, and he literally just says, I need you to go get professional help, dude. I am not the person to help you with this. But it puts you in a position as a figure, a entertainer, and a trusted friend that is in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
which is really, it's very unfortunate. And it's protection. It's protection of your own space.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I mean, that's ultimately what Emma told the young lady, and then everything ended up turning out fine.
Yeah.
But it just it's just, I don't know how to avoid being in that position again. It's just like,
it's not your responsibility to put yourself in that mode of avoiding it, is what I'm trying to say. Just because you are who you are does not mean that it is your fault if someone puts you in that position. You know what I mean? Because that is not a burden that you have invited upon yourself. It is not a moment where you have said, please tell me all of your personal burdens and tell me everything about yourself so that I can help you become a better person.
So you're saying there's not necessarily anything I was doing that invited that at the time. It was just
no, but it was a line that got crossed for someone who needed someone desperately and felt that you were the only person that maybe could understand. And it is 100% permitted and expected in psychological. Like if a psychologist were to say this to you, they would say you are not the person to help them. They think you are, but your goal in that is to get them to where they should get help.
Yeah.
To get them in the place where they need, where they can get the help that they need. And then, which is still a horrific thing. Like you literally have to say, I want you to call this number and call it now. I know we're digressing a bit, but my friend who was on this show, her name is Dr. Holiday Bean, and she is a psychotherapist. She's amazing. Incredible woman. And she was telling me about how someone that she knew very closely, like a former boyfriend, had called her up out of the blue and threatened suicide to her. And she literally said, I got so angry at him and I yelled at him and I said, if this is where you think that if you think that talking to me is going to save you, then you are doing this wrong. You need to go get some help and not contact me again. And she was like, call this number and get your help. And she just hung up on him. And I was like, we listened to this episode and she was telling me this during the show. And I'm like, holy shit. Like that feels like complete opposite of what we're all told.
I'd be too worried. I'd be like, God, what are they going to do to themselves? I'd be so concerned.
She as a psychologist, knew that this was a cry for help. And it was the shock of her saying, F you, buddy, for, putting this guilt on me. Go get some help immediately, was the thing that broke it, you know. Um it's pretty it's and we're not expected to know this, Coffee. I mean, you and I are laymen when it comes to this kind of thing. But when we have this level of responsibility that is given to us, like we have an obligation as content creators and as entertainers to be responsible with the message that we provide to people. Like, we're not out there, we're not out there sending a negative message. We're sending these messages of positivity and fun and friendship and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in no way does that ever say, hey, rando person in my chat room, send me a message in Discord and tell me your deepest, darkest secrets, and maybe that, you're thinking about hurting yourself tonight. Never in the million years do we do that and literally say that this is the thing that we are expected to do, or we are inviting them to do, which we're not.
Right. I mean, and just it's like, to me, it kind of is just, what the hell is going on? Because I can barely handle my own shit, and somehow this person thinks that I can take that on with them and work with them on something. It's just kind of like, this is not right. This is not how it should be. So.
And to loop back to the main topic at hand, burnout prevention is about boundaries. It is about setting boundaries for yourself. It's about setting boundaries for your limits, and it's trying to overcome this societal pressure of go, go, go. Like, I hit burnout, not this year, but last year, very, very badly, because I had just things piled up on my psyche that I avoided dealing with by working.
Yeah.
That was how I coped with it, is that I would just throw myself into my work. It wasn't like, and that's the thing, like we tell each other, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get back on the horse, and all those isms that we say to each other, like, hard work, you fall down 7 times, you get up 8, blah, blah, blah. But never in those isms do we ever say, you got to deal with your shit. And so I had all these horrible things, divorce and bad stuff, money problems, and all these things that were just terrible. And then my cat died, and I was devastated because he was only 6 years old, and I wasn't really prepared for that. And I went back to work after my cat died, and I was just like pushing myself like I'd always done, right? I had been doing this for like 2 years. I pushed myself through it, and I broke. I just broke. I couldn't do anything. I was crying all the time. I was destroyed. And that was when I called my therapist for the first time and said, I need help. I need help getting through this. And she worked me through trying to unpack and unearth all the traumas that I dealt with and actually put them in front of my face over time so that I could process them. So it was basically like exposure therapy on a bunch of stuff that I had avoided. But that's the culture that we have, and that's how we burn out. It's one of the ways we burn out.
Yeah, I think that's so many times the social norm is to just keep your head down, power through it, get to the other side, make it through. Yeah. And sometimes that's just not possible because things just keep building up and piling up, stacking up, and you're not going to get through it unless you make a big change, a big shift in your lifestyle. And it's hard to recognize that sometimes. It really is.
It very much is. And so, I mean, the tips that I can give to this in terms of recognizing the signs of burnout is when you just like your anxiety, if you have anxiety issues like I do, when it just does not go away anymore, like, It's okay every once in a while you feel anxious or, you've got a couple down days, but when it feels like it's a minefield to get through it, or you're swimming through, muck to just get past your next few moments. um I mean, I'm looking at it from a perspective right now where I'm still remarking about feeling happy. Like I just the other day I'm like, man, I just feel happy now. I feel
I'm so glad to hear that. It's so
right.
good.
Like I feel good now. I feel like I'm in control now. I feel like I'm making strides towards my future, towards my goals, towards my life. Like I'm getting my life on track. And man, it can be very, 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 very hard to recognize it when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So hard. You need good friends and family who know you to be able to, like, tap you on the shoulder and say, "Are you okay? Are you doing all right?"
Yeah.
Because I can look at Coffee, like if he's having a rough time, I can literally. I've done this to you. You've come
Yeah.
on video. I take one look at you and go,
Everything
"Are
okay?
you all right?"
Yeah. It's true. But I would say that you are a little bit more like perceptive than the average Joe. You have a good read on energies for sure.
I do, but I'm also like, I I think that a lot of times, like, we're better at it than we think we are, but we're afraid of what the answer is going to be.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's because, like, let's put this in perspective. Like, when you were going through your really tough time before TwitchCon, BlizzCon, did you really have the energy to be able to ask someone, "Hey, you okay?"
No, not really.
And that's
No.
fair.
And I was
I
scared
have
of
been
someone
there too.
asking me that too.
Yeah.
Because if I actually stopped to talk about it, I was afraid I would just kind of break, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah.
And it's like like in your psyche you desperately want to have someone ask you the question, but you don't want them to ask you a question because you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
You're holding on by a minuscule thread. And I've been there where that moment's like, I can't talk about this right now, or I'm going to lose my
Exactly.
shit.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to be able to make it through if I just start
No,
talking about this right now. Yeah.
no, no. And you know what though? Help is out there. And it is something that it gets better if you work on it and you recognize it and you give yourself space and time. And I will tell anybody who says to me, "I can't slow down. I can't XYZ. It has to be this way." Okay. What about for like 1 hour today? What about half a day? What about a weekend day? One weekend day. Could you do just nothing?
I will say that
Yeah.
my lifestyle has changed drastically since I started taking the weekends to myself. I mean, it's just a little mini vacation on the weekend. It's just that's my time. It's the best. It's absolutely
I'm so proud of
fantastic.
you for doing that. And that was something I had to do too. And I'm struggling a little bit with it now because right now I'm working 2 jobs and
Yeah.
the time's limited. And so, like, this weekend, I worked on Saturday night, I worked on Sunday, I worked Saturday morning. And I was just like, and normally I would take a day on a weekend and just be like, all right, this is my time to, like, watch Twitch and take a
Yeah.
nap and whatever. And I didn't have that this weekend. And by the time I got to work on Monday morning and my boss asked me how my weekend was, and I literally needed another day. Like, I
Yeah.
just did. But
And
it's not always going to
you
be like
don't
that.
want to, feel that way. Like if Monday
No.
comes around and you're feeling like you didn't really have a weekend, that's how I think you're pushing it a little
Mm-hmm.
too far, I think.
Yeah, and so this weekend was a great example. So we're working on this new technology for future HeroesHearth shows that we've been trying to test out, and it's been very difficult, and it requires a bunch of people to test stuff. We have to schedule time, and this weekend we
Yeah.
had a specific time that we had to meet because of the people that were involved, and so it was like 9 p.m. on Saturday night,
I saw you guys
and
in that channel, in the Discord
yeah.
channel.
Yeah. And
Quite a group of you guys in
it
there.
wasn't that cool.
That was really cool.
Wasn't that cool?
Without
Yeah,
spoiling too many things, it was pretty cool.
there's some really, really amazing stuff coming, you guys, and
Yeah.
I can't wait that till we can share it. But
On one hand, I was like, "Holy shit, that's really cool." On the other hand, I was like, "You guys need to settle down and take a chill pill and just relax.
I know.
Take a weekend, for God's sakes."
That's right. But the good thing is that we've been, I know that it's a temporary situation. Like, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna, come to a solution, and then after that, my time will be a little more fluid, right?
Yeah.
But you have to kind of put in the work ahead of time to be able to get ready for the thing. And so you messaged me. We were talking about when we could record this show since we had just done it on Friday, and you were like, "Hey, could we do it
Yeah,
Monday?"
It was like Monday. Yeah.
And I was looking at the pile of stuff that I had said I would do and that I wanted to do. Like, I told my parents that I was going to Skype with them on Monday because we couldn't do it Sunday because I had gone and met friends for dinner and all the other things. And I'm like, I just asked you and I said, "Do you think we could do it Tuesday? Because there's some things I want to do that I really would feel better about getting done." And you were like, "Yeah, yeah." And like, 2-3 years ago, Jules would not feel comfortable asking for that accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
Or that, "Hey, I need this in order to feel a little bit more comfortable." I even didn't do, like, I still struggle with it because you literally said to me the other day, you were like, "Hey, you're scooting home and getting ready to start doing the show at 6. Would another time be better for you?" And I was like, "Yes." Like,
Well,
I would
yeah,
just
it just seems like
half an hour.
you're working so hard. I just imagine, like, for myself, that would stress me out if I knew I didn't have a moment to do anything else other than get home and get ready. That
Yeah.
stuff, that's what stresses me out. That's what makes me feel burnt out. Is stuff
Yes.
like that. So
So it was good that you recognized it because I was trying to be super accommodating and and you were, and because I knew that you didn't want to stream too late, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll just suck it up for one day." But it's that stuff that you've got to do, and you've got to do it with the people,
yeah.
I had a co-host on one of my shows who was literally like scooting in at the very last minute to start the recording, and I'm like, "Is this day bad for you? Like, could we do a different day, a different time? Like, my schedule's flexible." And they were like, "Well, yeah, actually, it would be really much better if we could do this." And I'm like, "Then ask. Like, let's talk about it. I hate that you're coming in so stressed out, but this is what we do to ourselves, right?"
Yeah. I was I mean, so this is similar world. Actually relatively similar world. So I was having a conversation with my agent recently about
Yeah.
how everyone I graduated acting school with packed up and moved home. Right? They didn't
Mm.
last too long in Los Angeles, and we were talking about how you have to set yourself up to be like sustainable, whatever world you make for yourself here, and I think everywhere in life, you have to be sustainable or it won't last. You can't
Yeah.
keep at it long enough. And the people who are successful are the ones that just last the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the the most talented or like the most professional or the smartest people don't have success because they don't set themselves up for success by
Yeah.
living a sustainable lifestyle or working sustainably. So if you're being stressed out about whether it's making it home to get that podcast on, or if you just jam packed your day with too many pieces, I feel like you won't be around next year to continue like having your improvements and increased success and growth, because by next year you'll just be on the floor. Or
So true.
yeah.
And you have to know what it is that you need, and think about it from a perspective like, yes, I deserve this. So another example from this weekend, like, I had worked late on, we'd done the show late on well, not too late, but on Friday night, and then I had to eat, and then I was like, okay, it's been a long week, and worked on Saturday night on this whole thing, didn't sleep well on Sunday night because I was just like, or Saturday night, because I was thinking about all of these problems and my brain couldn't shut off. And so on Sunday, I was like, I could do this and this and this and this, or I could take a nap.
Yeah.
And I was this close. I was like this, and this. And I went and I took a nap.
Good job.
And that is huge for me. That is
Yeah.
huge because I was actually willing to push those. It's not going to end the world that I didn't do these things, that I didn't set up the stream deck that I need for Wednesday. I can do that on Monday now. Like, okay, all right.
A nap is not a dirty word. And I feel
I
like
know, and it's
people
the
think
most
it is.
amazing thing ever, but it's like going back to our self-care conversation where we sometimes say that thing is a dirty word. That's selfish. That's blah, 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 blah. I had the best fucking nap.
Oh, God. Sounds fantastic right now.
Best nap ever. And it was everything. So that's how I work on burnout. That's how I try to recognize the signs of it.
That's such a good example about changing the podcast time just by like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's such a perfect
It meant
example.
the world. It meant the world because usually I'm home like somewhere around 5:20, 5:30. If I plan ahead, I've got food already prepared that I can just heat and eat, and I still have time to get myself, like, I had like 20 minutes to like eat and chill with the cat, and like then I could set up my green screen, do my makeup and all that stuff, and it was like I just got that little bit of a break.
That's good.
Especially because like the last hour of work was kind of like blah. So
yeah,
it was real hectic.
Yeah, and you need time too. Like, if you're coming out of like a job or something and you're just jumping right into your next kind of responsibility or obligation, it's hard. Like, there's got to be some type of period of time where you can decompress. And I feel that way. It's like, that's why even just like driving home, I remember I would drive home from the LA office here and I just hop right into a stream. Driving like in LA traffic and then hopping right on stream is not a good it's like you're like on fire and you're jumping into like oil or something like that, right? I don't know. It's you there's got to be something. You got to push yourself out, put the fire out first, right? Then maybe you can roll around in the oil a little bit, or you know what? Don't jump in the oil at all, and don't catch on fire. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, and you push yourself sometimes a little hard too. I mean, I see you sometimes. You do a Heroes Hearth stream before, then you do a stream of your own right after, and then we do our show.
Those are stressful days. Yeah, those are stressful days.
And I'm like, dude, like I mean. Yeah, you only do it a couple times, so I don't usually say, "You sure you want to do that?"
I need to rethink that, and I don't think I'm really going to be doing much on the Heroes Hearth channel on Mondays anymore. Anyway, just because that is stressful a little bit, and I do want to have time for my own channel. But yeah, it's a good example. I mean, it's like to go from one to the next without any sort of a break in between that's how you burn yourself out, I think. So
It is. So people, friends, lovely people, keep an eye on yourselves and make sure that if you are starting to feel like your behavior is changing, your sleep is being affected, your anxiety levels are going up, your relationships are not the way they should be, take a look at what's going on in your life. Yeah. Get some professional help if you can. Talk to a friend, talk to your spouse, but it's something that can be very dangerous. It can be hazardous to your health. You know, like you're getting sick all the time. If you're just, everything's falling apart, man. I see a lot of people who are sick all the time. And I'm like, that is not good. That's not good.
Yep. Not enough self-care.
Yeah.
I mean, so if anything, I mean, just kind of chatting this out with you. This is my favorite time of the week, by the way, just kind of chatting with you and
mine too.
Having some self-realization, but my word for the year was already balance, and I was hyper aware of that. But now that we're chatting about burnout a little bit, I'm realizing that I need to also pay attention to boundaries, because boundaries are also a key element into how you can set yourself up for the most success and not get too bogged down with the weight of all the responsibilities you have going on in your life. So balance, boundaries. Boom! 2019.
2019 in a nutshell.
Let's do it.
Well, this was an amazing discussion. I really liked this one. And
Yeah.
I mean, it got a little heavy there for a while, but it's good stuff to talk about, at least to raise awareness.
I did want to bring up one thing before we move on from the topic.
Yeah.
Anna reached out to us on Twitter, and she had a great little tidbit to say about burnout.
Yes.
She said, I live in a constant state of burnout. I have several impossible tasks that really hold back several aspects of my life. Sometimes I consider using my limited PTO to take a few days off and just catch up on the things that I'm too burnt out to take care of after work. And then I stress out about how I only have 10 days of PTO per year. And I use almost all of it just to tip the scale from I can't breathe back to barely floating. I mean, it just goes along with exactly what we were talking about, how
Yeah.
so many moving pieces, you feel like you can't take that time for yourself.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're constantly in that state, something's got to give at some point. Something
Yeah.
has to give, because no human can function at that level of continual stress before something breaks. And you don't want it to be your health. You don't want it to be your physical or mental well-being that's the one that breaks, but it's most likely the thing that will. Um and yeah, we I challenge anybody who says I can't stop. I can't this. It's impossible for me to not do this, or to I mean, really, because as Coffee was talking about earlier with the situations with Emma's family and your mom, um it was Emma's dad, right? It
Emma's
was,
dad, yeah.
yeah, that life can all of a sudden appear in, like, all of a sudden a health issue or a situation comes in and it trumps everything. It over it, n- and not to say that I mean, how do I phrase this? What I'm trying to say is something like that could enter at any given point and you would have to drop something.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to. If you're at the breaking point and at the limit of where you are, and that thing has to be covered and taken care of, what would drop out in order for you to do that? And
Right.
it's a good mental check on yourself to say, if I had to drop everything or most things to handle an emergency, what would that
What
be?
would it be? Yeah, that's a good point. Really good point.
And because we get so stuck, and I've done this a lot with when I've been coaching people in the past, is literally like I call it stuck thinking, where we think that this is the only way, there's no other option, it is the only option that we have.
You did
And
this
it's,
exercise with me before
yeah,
on stream in a podcast, and it was actually super eye-opening because I
yeah,
thought I was out of options. I was just
mm,
had no there was no other way to continue forward. And you and I just kind of considered several different options. Some of
yeah,
them might have sucked, right? But just the idea that there are actual possibilities, there are other options, there really actually
yeah.
are, uh, put myself in a mindset that was a lot healthier than the way I was heading before. And I love this. This is really good.
It's so like, it happens to all of us. It happened to me. I was literally saying 5 months ago, I can't go back to an office job.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that out loud. I can't, I've been working from home for 2 years. I can't go back to an office job. Well, and then I had to stop myself and said, well, wait a minute. I can. I may not like the option of doing it, but what if it weren't so bad? What if it were me? And it put me in a position where I put myself out there and applied for those
Yeah.
office jobs. And I got a scenario that's pretty ideal for, it's not everything. It's not me working from home, but it's 10 minutes from my house. I can wear jeans to work, super casual. Like if I had to work from home in bad weather, I could. It's a pretty, and 5 months prior, I was basically saying that was not an option on the table at all, because that can't happen.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have happened? Because I was deeming it as a failure in my own mind.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like, it sounds like a super cool environment. I mean, it's as good as it gets in terms of, be having to get up and go to the office. Sounds really great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not working from home, but there's trade-offs, and the improvements of my life that I didn't even like take into account,
Yeah.
and the ability to afford to, you know, to afford to go on vacation, and to, and to do all these other things, to now have the comfort level and brain space to feel like I can do things like focus on losing weight, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many things that I hadn't even considered because my brain was locked out of the possibilities of what could come from being an office worker
Yeah.
again. And now I'm still doing the things that I love, and I'm a whole lot happier, a whole lot comfortable. I'm rebuilding, as my word of
You're saying you're
2019.
you're setting yourself up for greater success because you found sustainability, is what it seems
Exactly.
like to me.
Exactly. And, the person I am right now, it wasn't the same person that I was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And, I was a victim of stuck thinking.
So to Anna's point, I'll relate this to my situation, is that I never feel like I can go visit my parents because I feel like if I leave LA, I'll miss out on whatever opportunities might arise, whether it be streaming or work or acting or software development. Like, I feel like I'll miss out on something. Like, something will
Hmm.
pop up and I won't be able to jump on it because I'll be on the other freaking side of the country when it
Right.
happens. I'm challenging myself to go visit my parents, to go see my mom, hang out with them for a week. Um,
Yeah.
I think that, and I'm doing that just based on this new kind of realm of thinking where I do have options. I do have the ability to do these things. Um, I think maybe you can try the same thing with your PTO. 10 days, I know it doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, but I I bet you, or just challenge yourself. See if you can use it on something other than your side tasks and things like that, because I know you have so
Yeah.
many moving parts in your life too, and you feel like you need to take that PTO to work on other things. See if you can take that PTO for yourself, even if it's just a little bit, to just enjoy whatever it is, not feel like you have to work, just a little self-care. See if you can take some
Hmm.
PTO for self-care. It's a
Yeah. A great way
challenge.
to do that is, what would it look like if? What would
Right.
it look like if I did this instead of that? What would it look like if Coffee took a week and went to Baltimore to visit his mom and dad? What would it look
Yeah.
like? Is that something that you can live with? Is that something that you could see, visualize? Is it, is there opportunity? It's exactly what I did with the office job. What would it look like if I went to an office job and actually had money again?
Mm-hmm.
Am I willing to live with that? Am I willing to live with the feeling of like I failed, quote unquote, that I didn't make it as a content creator? Um, and I'll argue it now. I mean, back then I would have been like, why are you even considering this? But I would argue now I'm a better content creator because I'm actually happy and engaged and energized, and I'm taking care of myself, and
Yes.
like, yeah.
You have to take care of yourself no matter what you're doing. Not just content creators, but if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't deliver in any other aspect of your life.
No.
So
No, I mean, I've been on Weight Watchers for a month now. I've lost 5 pounds, which is amazing for
it's
me.
fantastic.
Right? And I
It's
and
really
I couldn't
it's really
even
good.
think about saying that. And it's just but like I'm taking care of myself. Like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not guilt inflicting, and I don't feel guilty about it. I feel good about it, which is amazing to be able to say that. And I want people to have that feeling to say, I'm taking care of myself and I feel good about it. And I'm glad, and I'm proud of myself. And I'm feeling like I have control over my life, um, and I'm happy with what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish, rather than thinking I just have to make it through the next 8 hours.
Right. Yeah. Hell
Like
yeah.
who wants to live like that?
No one. And it's never intentional. You know, it never happens intentionally. It just kind of sneaks up on us, and before we know it, we're just stuck in this routine, and you feel trapped. You
Yeah.
know, and I love that phrasing is what would it look like if, and you know, your strategy of developing like 3 or 4 different circumstances or possibilities or options just opens up doors. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
has, it's done that for me in a lot of ways. And um but it's such a good reminder sometimes to just ask myself those types of questions and then look at how that would play out. It
Yeah, and
helps me a
stop
lot.
yourself from automatically dismissing like, well,
Right.
that could never happen. No, 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 no. What if it did?
Exactly.
What if it did? Like, just entertain that thought for a few minutes. What would it be if you quit your second job? Like, for that, for an
Yeah.
example, like if you were working 2 jobs, what would it look like? Well, this and this and this. It's not ideal, but I could do this or I could do this. Well, what would it look like if, you know? And it's such a powerful tool. It's simple. It sounds so freaking simple,
I
but
know it sounds like it, but it's like before you had mentioned that to me, that was just not something I'd ever even considered doing.
mm-hmm.
I was just so set in my ways.
And we do this. We do
Yeah.
this to ourselves because we believe in our hearts that we've done everything we can,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the situation that you're supposed to live in. And let me tell you, as someone who really thought that the life was going to be a certain way, and that I made my bed and I'm going to lie in it, um, it doesn't have to be that way forever if you want it to be different. If you truly honestly want to make it different, you can. It's just a matter of having to make those tough choices sometimes to do it, and the
Yeah.
hard work it is to fix it or change it. So I know that it doesn't solve every problem.
No.
It doesn't make everybody's situation better, but if Coffee and I have changed one mind or have given you something to think about, then we've done our job today.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. It makes me feel really good to know that I've had an impact on you positively like that. Like, that
Oh my
means a lot to
gosh.
hear.
You have. I mean, it's funny,
Yeah.
like, because I think Emma had just recently listened to that episode. She's way behind, by the way.
Yeah, just catching up.
Shout out to my wife. She's amazing, but she's super behind on Jules and Coffee Hour. But she had just listened to that one, and she's like, "Ah, you do that now," and that was such a good thing to hear. That I
Yeah.
consider, I do that. I lay out like 3 options. Some are like just totally ridiculous, out of left field options, but just like knowing that there are actually other outcomes and possibilities feels good. Feels good knowing that.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and eliminating the really outlandish words and saying no, that's really just not possible. It makes you think differently.
Yeah.
It's given you the different not absolute mindset, and
Right.
that's huge. And I think it truly does apply to the world that we live in terms of burnout and the risks of burnout. Because when you say this is the only way it can be and it has to be this way, and this is my life, this is how I set everything up, I now I have to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like
Do ya?
back to Anna's point, you know, she is like worried about what to spend her PTO on because it's limited PTO. I feel the same way. Like I know I work from home, but if I were to take a trip back east to visit my mom, I'm worried about the PTO. And I think to
Hmm.
myself, can I really spend PTO on this? Or do I have to like hold on to this PTO in case I book some sort of like thing in LA where I have to take that PTO to like work on a project in LA?
Right.
And just this thought process of what would it look like if I took my PTO to go back to Baltimore?
Hmm.
What would it look like? And I lay out like these paths. It just makes me think about things differently a little bit. And now that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to challenge. I talked to Emma last night, and she was like, you should challenge yourself to do it, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to take some PTO and head back east and see my parents some point soon, very soon.
Good. I'm doing the same in May. So
is May your Vegas trip?
No, Vegas trip's next week. I leave Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I leave Wednesday, come back Saturday. It's super quick. But
Okay.
no, I'm going over Mother's Day. So.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It'll be really nice.
Yeah. So it's already booked. We're ready to go. Yeah. So again, I hope that this conversation helped to. We went long on the topic, so we won't dig into some of the other stuff. We've already shared.
We'll have a
bit
lot
of things
to
going on,
catch up on next week then.
Yeah, exactly. Coffee and I went through a whole bunch of different topics, ideas. So we have to pick and schedule which ones they are. And I think the next show is going to have to be Tuesday. I need to talk to you about schedules again because schedules are a pain.
Tuesdays are fine. I think.
Yeah.
I think Tuesdays will be fine. Yeah.
Okay. So we will be settling on Tuesdays for a while yet. But in our next topic, we will announce on social media as well. But as always, if you have stuff that you want to share, we shared today, the discussion we had, just comments about us, and tell us that you love us or you hate us, whatever it is. Podcast at HeroesHearth.com is the email. And you can also send us tweets. You can go to HeroesHearth ENT and tweet them and let them know because I see them too. Yeah, that's it.
And you can also tell us things like you live in Madison, Wisconsin. Things like that.
Oh my gosh, Xander the Gamer said I just watched the last episode. You said you lived in Madison, Wisconsin. That's awesome. I live in Madison and I go to Madison all the time.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
I can't believe someone that I know is famous that lived in Madison.
That's awesome.
Oh, I miss Madison so much. I do. I'm in the suburbs of Minneapolis right now, but I miss Madison a lot. Go Badgers. Oh man.
Do I have any final thoughts? Is that what you were
Yeah,
any
final thoughts?
I think just in terms as I'm thinking about burnout and thinking about sustainability, I'm going to concentrate more this year on not only balance but also boundaries and figure out what that means to me going forward. But it was cool to chat with you about kind of a little bit what I was going through last year and even the specifics a little bit of the stressful viewer situations I was having. So yeah, it feels good to get that off my chest.
Trust me that you're not alone in that, and I can hopefully be a help when it comes to boundaries because unfortunately I just had to learn the hard way. So yeah, I mean it's just it is what it is, and I'm happy to offer advice on that privately and give you thoughts on that because it is tough. It's very tough, especially for an empathetic person. So but you've given yourself some amazingly good goals and you're working hard on them. I know you are. And it's I think doing this show each week I dare say makes us both better people because
100%
we just face it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like an outlet for me at this point where I can just chat about everything that's going on and then some. And it's definitely improved my quality of life just doing this podcast. It's my favorite part of the week, literally. So.
Yes. Mine too.
And we should discuss having someone on this podcast very soon. I think that'll be really fun.
That is on our idea list. We are discussing who and what the topic should be. And if there's anybody you guys are like, hey, we'd love it if you'd have this person on the show to talk about this, let us know. Podcast at HeroesHearth.com. That's where you find us. That's how you tell us that you listen and that you like the show. And we appreciate that.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. I'm gonna play the music and we're gonna light the lights.
Light the lights.
It's time to play the music.
It's like a birthday cake.
Here it comes. This is your time to read.
This is me. Want to contact the show? You can email us at podcast@heroeshearth.com. And if you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can find me at coffeeclub_TV and Jules at JulesRPG. You can also use those handles to follow our personal streams on Twitch as well to be notified when we go live.
You can join us for the live broadcast at twitch.tv/HeroesHearth. I'm choking on myself. On Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central, 6:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Find us in podcast form on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, and more. Excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
If you like the show and would like to support the great entertainment brought to you by Heroes Hearth, please consider supporting them on Patreon at patreon.com/HeroesHearth.
Thank you all so much for joining us today, and until next time, we're glad you're here. I choked on my own spit.
You did. That was good, though.
I did that earlier today, and my
goodness,
boss was walking out to go get some lunch, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to lunch. I'll see you later. And I was about to say, see ya. And I went, and I choked on myself. What the hell, man?
It happens. It happens to me all the time. Usually at
I
the
know.
most inopportune moment.
Make fun of him, his timing, and look. Yeah, I know. I mean, we were both just pleasantly listening to the music. I did not intro the section out like I normally do, though, so that's on me.
But I knew what you were trying to do, and I was about to start talking, like right when you said like that was. Like, I knew I like had. I was like, oh, I see what she's doing here. This is an improv thing, and I like what's happening.
I didn't read the normal thing I normally read, and I should have done it, but
you sort of did. You
today.
sort of did, though.
Yeah.
The one thing was when we said at, I was like, I'm at Coffee Club _TV. I remembered something cool that I did recently, and I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
I got this idea from your interview with Kid Kerrigan a long time ago on Heroes News. Is that you can buy a domain like coffeeclub.tv, and you can make that website forward to your Twitch. Right, to make your like Twitch easier to find. So rather than going to twitch.tv/coffeeclub _TV, I bought that domain now, so you can just go to coffeeclub.tv and it will go to the Twitch page, which is really cool.
Fucking smart.
And I'm pretty sure that was Kid Kerrigan's idea. I think I got that idea from your Heroes News podcast with Kid Kerrigan. I don't know for sure, but I think I did.
I know she has done it, and I can't remember if she talked about it in the interview or not. She talked about she talked about consistent branding a lot on that show for sure.
Well, I got the idea from somewhere, and I thought that's where it was,
she does it. Yeah. No, super, super smart. I love it.
I love it too, because my mom, I actually did it for my mom, because my mom just can't for the life of her like figure out how to get to my Twitch channel like at all.
Really?
So now I think if I'd say, Mom, just type coffeeclub.tv in Google, like I think she'll be able to do it.
It'll just take you there.
I think she'll do it. Yeah.
You technically kind of do that to Jules, but not with Twitch. Is that from Chain of Jules? Are you talking about that?
Just not with Twitch. Your domain?
Maybe my domain. Yeah, he's talking about my Chain of Jules domain. Yeah, because I reroute my Chain of Jules domain to an actual like different website. But it's like it's a website that I use to like, I'm not a web designer, so I use this kind of service to allow me to design the portfolio website, and then it just reroutes from that Chain of Jewels to that site. So
got it.
Which is it's a redirect.
So it's funny, like I can make a website, but like, do I make it look pretty? No, I don't know. I'm not in marketing, you know what I mean? Like I could do what somebody told me to, like make a website, but I have a website for my acting, and I recently added like some of my Twitch information into the website, but like I don't think it looks good, you know, like I'm not a web designer. Like some people just have an eye for making something look really good. I don't.
They do, and I am not one of those people.
Yeah.
Like the website that I use to make my portfolio for my chainmail is it's an artist's type website, so you can but
Do they have
it
like
basically
templates
has
and stuff like
widgets.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like widgets and pages, and you can only make them look a certain way, but you pick your template and then you work in there
Yeah.
too, and like, this is my speed. This is
Mm-hmm.
my speed. This is how I can function. But
Yeah.
my God, is it already 8 p.m.? Like, my
Munster
gosh.
said,
What?
"Where'd you go buy your web domain?" Munster, if you're still here, it's I just bought it off GoDaddy.
Yeah. You can get
Yeah.
it from like Hover, and you just buy
Yeah.
your domain from there.
Yeah. I just did it on GoDaddy.
Ooh, hi, Phoenix Fire.
Phoenix Fire.
Oh, man. It's too funny that Xander was talking about Madison, because it was like I was reading Reddit the other day, and there was a sign during like the bad snow where it was one of those traffic signs that was at the side of the road, that was saying, like they have the digital sign that says it's like slow down or whatever. Um, and it was like the caption was Madison police aren't playing, and it said your mom says to slow down. And I could see the sign, and I knew exactly where in Madison it was. I knew exactly the street, I knew exactly the place. I was like, oh my God, I'm
That's
I'm
funny.
too embedded in Madison.
Madison.
Oh, what a cool town that is.
It's like
We could have.
sometimes I have like a Baltimore like accent that'll come out, or I'll like say, instead
Yeah,
of Baltimore, I'll say Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah.
Baltimore. Going down the ocean one.
When it comes back, and it comes back strong.
Yeah.
I get made fun of when I go back to New Jersey because I'm such a Midwest girl now, but they make fun of me.
Yeah, Xander, that's part of the reason why I moved to LA. I was to do some television and film work here. So
He still does too.
yeah, every now and again.
Yeah,
I
lots of
try to
auditioning.
do it all. Yeah, it's like that's really what being an actor is you should say that you're a professional auditioner.
Mm-hmm.
that's that's what acting is. It's just auditions. Millions of auditions.
Some days, Coffee's gonna book a sitcom, and then his entire world is gonna change, and then we're gonna be like, we knew him when.
I don't think so. But my
Yeah,
my dream type of thing is like that kind of like guest star, like day player on a show, like
yeah.
just helps tell the story, a real character role kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I love
Mm-hmm.
being on sets. Like
Mm-hmm.
sets are so fun. It's just it's like their own little individual city. You've got like the place where you like hang out. There's like a place to get food. Everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
city has their own specific job. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. You get 100 people in this like little area like making this magic happen. It's so fascinating to me.
It really is. I did the studio tour at Universal, and
Oh yeah,
it was so flipping cool because
yeah.
they were filming a couple of them when we were going through at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, this is so cool.
It's interesting.
Superstore was
Like,
one they were filming. Yeah, they were filming
is that
Superstore in
on
there.
Universal? Is that on the Universal lot?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's funny because did they show you the actual Superstore?
No, we went through and passed it, and then there were these
Okay.
trailers up outside that had like the props and everything in them.
Uh huh.
But then we drove past those, so we could kind of like peek in and see the props that were inside the trailer, but the studio was closed because they were actually filming at the time. So like the lights were spinning, and
Right. So they this is just part of like movie magic, but that they actually filmed Superstore, the exteriors, excuse me, the
Mhm.
exteriors of Superstore are filmed in this one like parking lot very close to here. And it's like
Really?
you're not allowed to park in that parking lot because it's owned by Universal, and it's just like they use it for other shows, right? Like I
Yeah.
think they used it for like they used it for everything. A Star is Born, like the exterior
Hmm.
of this like store was shot there and stuff, and it's just like a well-known parking lot where they shoot like the exterior of like a shopping center there, or like a
Hmm.
shopping store there, and it's just like you shoot it there, right? Then they all get on this like little bus and they go onto the Universal lot and they shoot like the interior, and it's just like the magic of like making that look seamless is just so cool to me. It just
It
fascinates me.
is.
I love that.
It is super, super cool. And yeah, I mean, you live in the area where you could pretty much stumble into a lot of
Yeah.
stars at a lot of given times.
Yep. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, Emma and I saw Nathan Fillion just like walking around this mall area, and he's the guy from Firefly. If you guys don't know that show,
Yeah, I know who he
but I
is.
kind of
I
like
I'm
nerded out.
I have a high key crush on Nathan
I
Fillion.
do too. I love him. I
He's
love him
like
so
he is
much.
like my ideal he's like my ideal male type,
Yeah.
like that's the type I would totally go for.
Yeah.
Funny, handsome. Yeah. Like that's the guy right there. Can I just find
Right.
Nathan Fillion's lesser known clone? Would that be great? Yes, that would be great.
I mean that's yeah, and he was putting off major dad vibe. Like just very like dad
Mhm.
dad Fillion vibe going on.
Yup. You do. I know he has a brother, but he's probably
Mm,
married.
mm. What is
No,
the
I
most
just
famous person you run into? Most famous person?
Nathan Fillion.
Interesting. He's the most recent like star like I've run into. I mean, it's so weird, right? Because like you go like to Starbucks and there's someone famous like at the Starbucks getting a coffee, and you don't
Yeah.
want to like interrupt what they're doing because like they've got their own shit going on. But I want to say, do you guys know who Mahershala Ali is?
Oh yeah.
He's fantastic. Um, so I, I was in a few episodes of House of Cards, and this was shot actually in Baltimore, on the East
Mhm.
Coast. And Mahershala had a big role in House of Cards,
Yeah, he did.
that season.
What
And
season were you in?
so I want to say this is the third season.
I
Uh,
watched that season, and I don't now.
you
I
might have
need to
seen
know
my
where you.
one-liner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, so I'm delivering like a note, and there's like a scene where um I like get to like hand Mahershala something, and he was super genuine and cool, and like he was famous at that time, right? But he
Oh
wasn't like
yeah.
this like he's really famous now. But he was just super grounded, down to
He's
earth
an
dude.
Oscar winner now.
I know. I know. I know. Same thing happened with Sterling K. Brown. Like he's
Oh
an
yeah.
Oscar winner now, and I met him on, I think it was the FX lot on
Mhm.
yeah, it was the Fox lot, and he was just, I forget why he was there, but he was doing a talk back about the OJ Simpson show,
Mm.
right? I don't know if you guys have seen that show. It's really good. But he was nowhere, like he's a superstar now. But at the time, I remember him mentioning to me that he was the only person on that OJ Simpson show that had to audition for his part.
Wow.
Like everyone else on the show was like handpicked, right? Like they were
Yep.
like they had a meeting or something like that. But poor
The role was
Sterling.
pretty much promised to these
Yeah, but
people.
Sterling's in there like reading his sides and stuff. It was so good.
Oh wow. Oh, that's crazy.
I love stories
I
like that.
don't really get I don't get starstruck anymore. It
No.
just doesn't happen to me, um but yeah, I think it's really cool to have situations where you live and you're basically just like going about your day, and they're
Yeah.
like I was at Universal Studios, was it Florida? Were we in Florida? And we're walking through, and there was like this crowd of people that were just hanging about, like, kind of like moving forward in this mob. And I kind of looked over and I was like, oh, that's Guy Fieri. And
Oh, that's a good one.
right. And but these people were just all over him, like taking pictures and then blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's Guy Fieri. It's cool. And people, and I was, I think we said on Twitter, like, hey, we just saw Guy Fieri. So they're like, where's the picture? And I'm like, I'm not taking a picture of the dude. Like, You've seen him before. I don't have to prove that I saw him. I can just say, hey, he's at Universal Studios hanging out. But
And then I
he looked
always
miserable.
worry about. I was gonna say that. Like I feel like you're bothering. You know, he's just, yeah. I don't know. So
well, and like, so it's the opposite thing for like, so we say at BlizzCon, like, please don't be afraid to come up and talk to us and say hi to us, because there's so many people that are like, oh, I'm so scared and I don't want to.
But that's a convention too.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
But like, if I'm at the grocery store or something, and then like this happened to me a couple times at BlizzCon, where I was literally like, we were just going to get like going to Target, and someone recognized me, and I was not in the mindset at all for people to be recognizing me, and I was just like, oh, hi, and then I was like, I'm just going away now. And so it's kind of funny. It's just kind of that thing where we're just feeling like we're bothering that person or whatever it is. And I look at that, like, I look at the mob of people just like staring and goggling at Guy Fieri, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be that person. Like, go ahead, let him go have fun at Universal.
I will say that one of the only times I've been starstruck was Nathan Fillion, though. I don't know why. Like, I know he's not like such a huge star either, but he's like specifically for me. Like, I am obsessed with Firefly. I fucking love that show.
I know.
Like, can't even
you're now starstruck of Coffee. Well, to be honest, he really is that guy. He's that star factor, man.
I need you to stop embarrassing me in front of all my friends, Jules. Stop it. Mom?
I'm only giving you shit.
I wish I would have been brave enough to walk up to like say hello to Nathan Fillion, to like been like shaking his hand or something like that.
Oh man,
I never get starstruck, but I totally was.
It's awesome though. It really is. It's like, it's just cool to see people out there doing their thing. Yep. He does play a mean Alarak in KDZ. He does have an awesome stream. You should support him by subscribing to his Twitch.
Jeez, what is self-promotion time? This is great.
Hey, I'm protective of my friends. That's what it is.
Dr. Horrible. Oh my god, Akana, it's so good.
I need to watch Dr. Horrible again. I need to watch. It's been forever and a day since I've seen it. It's
so good.
It's been forever and a day.
Neil Patrick Harris.
This weekend.
I mean, so good.
Dr. Horrible 2 would be great someday. That would be awesome.
Wait, I need to check my phone because Midnight Society is supposed to be landing.
Yes. You gotta go get some stuff done before she gets there.
I'm mostly like good to go, I think. I mean, the house was looking pretty okay.
You're like, we're ready.
Let me tell you a funny story though. This is really funny. Actually, it's not so funny. Is that last night? So they're staying in the guest bedroom, and we usually don't have too many guests. Like, our parents have come to stay in the guest bedroom, and Emma was like, "Can you hang this curtain in the guest bedroom? Because if the sun rises, the sun comes right through that window and just wrecks you. You just get wrecked." Yeah. So she wanted me to hang this curtain for them, so they don't have to like wake up to the sun necessarily. So I tried to hang the curtain. I'm like, well, the curtain's too long. Like, it's dragging on the floor. So I'm looking at the curtain rod, and I'm like, oh, I'll just, you know what I'll do? I'll do like some husband, like, you know, stuff, and I'll raise the curtain rod, right? What a freaking moron I was, because I go to try to do it, right? I take it off the wall, and then I try to raise it up, and I can't find the stud to like put the nail in. And I end up just pumping the wall full of holes. Like, there's so many holes that where I was trying to put a screw in. I like gave up on it last night. I just was like, you know what, screw it. I can't do it. Today I re-tackled it this morning, and I got the job done. And there may be 100 little holes in the wall, but there is a curtain that is the appropriate height in that room now. So
Well done, sir.
thank you. And now Midnight Society and her husband can get a good night's sleep. It'll be great.
That's even better. That's even better.
There you go.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. I think it's time for us to head out because I'm getting sleepy.
Same.
And it's like, I'm getting sleepy. I need to go decompress for a while.
Yeah. Self-care.
Self-care time. Yes. Yes. We will be back on Tuesday. Enjoy your visit with the Midnight Society crew.
Thank you.
Lots of pictures, please, in Discord, please.
Yes,
and thank you.
We will. And
thank
I
you.
hope they like join me for a stream or something, because like I know tomorrow
That'd
I'm
be
streaming on the HeroesHearth channel at some point. Maybe Midnight Society can like pop in and or something like that.
Are you playing Heroes of the Storm?
I'm playing Heroes of the Storm on the HeroesHearth channel. Hype.
That's beautiful.
Love to see it. You love to see it.
Love it. Yes, in the new Storm League. That'd be awesome.
Yep. New Storm League, new me.
Thank you, chat room. You guys were great tonight. Thank you for being a part of the discussion. And the show will be up within the next couple of days. Tomorrow is fight night too. So yeah, first Wednesday fight night, and I will be producing it. So you come and cheer me on because we've got production stuff and it's pretty fun. Came up with some new ideas this week, so it'll be awesome.
Hype. Yeah, it's so much cool shit's going on at HeroesHearth right now. A lot of cool stuff in the works. I'm very excited. Can't wait for them to be able to share that with you.
Yes, it's awesome.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Bye.